We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are.
Hey everyone, welcome once again to yet another episode of Two Noobs Talking. It's episode number 74. And with me, of course, is my good friends, Mr. John Tracy. John, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Not a crook.
I am not a crook. I'm Matt Craig, happy to be along for the ride. And I think we have the so-called President of the United States about ready to... Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America!
Or Two Noobs.
Yay! Mr. Steve Murray! Illinois Smith, 2024!
2024.
There you go.
I'm talking about.
There you go. How you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm doing good.
It's a small
That wasn't right. That's not how I would come in as a president. Can I do that again?
Yes.
If you'd like,
Okay,
sure.
right, yeah. Let me do that again.
Do it one more
feel
time.
Like
Okay.
I would not come in that way.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. All right. Really amazing here to think about this, John, with the State of the Union. But yeah.
This has been more coherent than the State of the Union
Razor, I'm gonna call you up. Love it.
Hey yo.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Thank you for doing that. See, that was great.
Thank you for watching it.
There you go. It's going to be kind of odd to do it on the audio version, but that's okay.
I can get the flavor of it.
Exactly, you get the flavor of it. But gents, here we are, episode 74, and as always, who wore the episode number in the city of Philadelphia? We have a few players. Yugeth Urbina wore it for like maybe one season as a Philly pitcher, John, and then I don't know what else he did afterwards. I think he's in jail.
I think he's out now, actually.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
He did some things with a machete, but he's a pretty decent pitcher before that.
Okay.
I think he played for the Tigers for a short amount of time. And
I remember him with the Detroit.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
But 74, I think, was his primary number.
I think you're right. Yeah.
He was a good closer for us.
Yeah.
that season.
Yeah. Good bridge closer. Yeah. There was one flyer, Mike Vecchione. Sounds like a pasta dish that you really don't want to try, I'm guessing, right? At that point.
2 games, Matt. Let's
Was
move on.
he really a flyer?
Yeah. I think for
He played
one
2
shift.
games.
Yeah.
2 games.
2 games, 1 shift, -1 for his career.
I
So
think
he
he
was
was
on the
a-
ice the same amount of time Steve has been on the ice at Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right, actually.
Sounds about right.
I think that's right, because I think I've been on that ice twice now. So, yeah, that's right.
There you go.
I think his only claim to fame was he was a Union alum along with Gostisbehere. So,
Oh,
There you go.
there you go.
otherwise, let's just move on.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on. But there was 3 Eagles that wore 74. Winston Justice, most recently.
Yikes.
Prior to that, Doug Brzezinski.
Michael Strahan felt bad for him. So,
Yes.
come on.
Well, yeah, exactly. Doug Brzezinski, who is along the offensive line, I think in the early
Yeah, Andy Reid
2000s.
era. Yeah, it was the Andy Reid era. Yeah.
Yep. And then Mike Pitts, who was along that defensive line in the late 80s, early 90s Eagles, who fielded, you had Jerome, Mike
Excellent.
Pitts in the middle, when you had Clyde and Reggie on the outside. And good Lord Almighty, you got to watch out if you're an offensive line and a quarterback, because that was probably the best offensive line or best defensive line
Yeah.
in Eagles history for sure. I can't think of any other 4, really. Unless
Yeah,
you
there's
guys
nobody. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens of 2000s
Mm-hmm.
are the closest team I could come up with
Yeah.
that were the defense that was that good.
Well,
I
I
think
don't
Matt
even
said defensive line.
Yeah,
Ravens were more like Ray Lewis.
Suggs was a tweener. So yeah,
and he had Haloti Nada was in
were.
there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think, like, even the Super Bowl team, Steve, we had, I think it was Fletcher, of course, and BG.
Yeah.
And
Chris
Derek
Long.
Barnett. And we were trying to think, like, who was that fourth? And the fourth defensive lineman, it was Tim Jernigan. But I'm trying to think if there was, like, anybody else that we could think of along that line.
Chris Long was on the line.
Chris Long was on the line, too, yeah.
Barnett. Who was the other defensive? There was one more defensive tackle.
Oh, 75, right?
Yeah. Maybe that might be a spoiler alert for next episode.
He left and come back. Yeah.
Maybe that's a spoiler alert for next episode, we'll have to say.
And we'll figure it out.
But in any event, this is kind of a special episode. Yes, Ukraine and Russia are under war. Yeah, Biden gave a State of the Union speech that, quite frankly, put everybody to sleep, that kind of deal. And we had some really odd reactions to it by the Speaker of the House. We're not going to get into that. We're instead going to give you a State of the Team address in the city of Philadelphia. So we're going to go through all four major teams and talk about where they are currently right now in 2022, entering their seasons, or some of them are currently still playing, things like that. So we're going to just lead off here with topic number one, and let's talk, gents, about the state of the Philadelphia Phillies.
We've reached the striptease part of the program. I did this for the State of the Union, but it's just not working. So
it's just not working. Yeah, get rid of that, Ty.
Get the boom chicka wow wow out there. Come on.
But gents, of course, obviously very prevalent news in regards to the Phillies. They're not in spring training right now, and chances are they're not going to start opening day on time because of one guy, Rob Manfred, who's decided to basically lock out the players for being himself, essentially, and just saying like, oh, you know what, we need a new CBA, we got to lock you out. And so, it pretty much, they got close to the ninth hour, and then, of course, typically Manfred screwed it up, screwed the pooch, was over, and there's an indefinite, who knows when they're going to ever come back. But let's talk, guys, about this team and where you guys think the Phillies are going to do whenever they do come back. What do you think they're going to do in the upcoming season or seasons? John, I'll start with you first. What do you think, bud, with the Phillies?
I think they've got a pretty good core group that I would, douchebag Manford is making me wait, but I was kind of excited for this season, getting back to it. They didn't finish like we wanted them to, but there were flashes last year. I was kind of hoping we would build on that, and I just like watching Bryce Harper play baseball. That's what I do in the summer. I just watch him play baseball. It's fun. Like I was excited to have Reese Hoskins back. Mm-hmm. Really just excited to see how they kind of, who made the team of the younger guys from the minors. I was excited about it, but I'm not excited about it because this commissioner is fucking awful.
Yeah. At least he's being suspended, lifetime ban at a semi-pro game or semi-pro team called the Kalamazoo Growlers, which is the greatest thing I've ever read this week.
Oh, Growlers.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it makes me want to just go out and buy a cap and a ball, ball shirt with them. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the whole CBA. Steve, what do you think of the Phillies and their state currently?
Incomplete.
Okay.
We didn't have a hot stove off season. We haven't finished. I mean, there was talk about signing free agents, hitters, things like that, and it just never materialized. We got our closer, which is nice, but Kyle Schwarber, what's Freddie Freeman gonna do in Atlanta, that kind of thing. And we haven't. Sorry, I just went on Monty Python on you there.
There you go.
It's we can't say anything about the team at the moment. It's incomplete, and it's a shame.
Yeah,
but I'm with John. I mean, I was looking forward to it. The pitching staff, the front end of the pitching staff, your front three looked maybe four.
I would say 4.
Wheeler, Nola, Eflin, and Ranger, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Ranger Suarez.
So for your top 4 starters, we're going to be in good shape. You're getting Reese back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you get another hitter in the lineup, you got something good going on there. But we got to wait for the moron owners to realize they're hurting their game.
Yeah, big time. I was looking it up, John, with Harper's stats. I'm just going to lay this on you. 281 batting average through 3 seasons for Harps. You have an on-base percentage of .402 for his career with the Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
556 slugging at 958 OPS. With Washington in 7 years, he was batting .279, had an on-base of .388. Slugging at 512 and an on-base plus slugging of 900, so he's 958 with the Phillies, so 58 points higher. Looking at other statistics,
Well, the ballpark argument's out because they're both tin cans.
they're both wiffle ball ballparks.
Yeah. So that argument's completely thrown out. It's not the ballpark.
He has more hits, obviously, in the Washington career. He's like 922 hits. He has 351 already in 3 seasons with the Phillies.
If he
home runs, 231.
If he stays healthy for 7 years, for the 7-year comparison, his numbers are going to be astronomically. He's on a better team.
Yeah. I think there's still, and really depends when they sign the CBA. You still have holes in left field. And in center field, you don't know who is really going to play in there. And then, of course, like with the talks of the CBA, they were thinking that they are going to implement the universal DH across the board, which to me, it's like it's
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, and it's like
it helps this team.
It does help this team. I'm a pure. There's like 4 things in baseball that I'm a purist at, and that's one of them. Like,
yeah.
I don't even have an argument. I just don't like it's. I'm a 2-year-old with candy. I don't like that.
Yeah,
like that's my only argument. So I can't really sit here and argue it because I don't like that.
It helps us because you can give JT days off in the field,
100%.
Hit still, keep the bat in your lineup, but don't put the wear and tear on his knees at catcher, or have to take Reese out so JT can play first base.
And same with Harper and all that kind of stuff. So and same with Reese Hoskins and things along those lines. So there is mix and match availabilities for sure.
There's ways to do it. Reese can play a decent left field.
He's done that before.
Yeah,
when he first started, he did play left field.
To do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Miller fielding
Reese
great.
Hoskins being the left fielder.
And you could put a Brad Miller at first base. He's more than capable. That's kind of where you put him there. So that would at least solve left field. The question is center.
Yeah,
you have Roman Quinn in and out. Odulfus Herrera in and out.
Oh, he's gone,
and he's completely gone now. Thank God,
he was gone.
God, I'm gonna miss him.
No, I'm.
No,
not.
You're not.
No, you're not.
He is a wild card.
That is true.
That
is very true.
But he fits the mold of the baseball player I like.
John, when you give up with 2 strikes, come on. You give up with 2 strikes, it's over. That's what he was.
Well, he's hilarious to watch. No. You don't want him at the plate with 2 guys on, 2 guys out, and the game on the line. But in the 7th inning, when it's 12-2, he's going to hit the bomb. He's going to crush that pitch.
So
it's going to be 12-3.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's going to celebrate the whole time.
Exactly.
Because it's 12-3.
Does Didi come back? That's my other question.
I hope.
It's
he's under contract.
Yeah. I hope. I love Didi Gregorius. He's just a working man shortstop.
And you kind of need that, really, in the National League.
He's a good ball player. That's what we need around these hitters. That's what we need a bunch of ball players.
Alec Boehm, third baseman. Up and down, obviously, last year.
Down last year, but up. I mean, he was good the first year. I don't know what the hell happened to him.
Well, they sent him down to work on his first base stuff because Reese went out. That's the reason they sent him down. They sent him down because he couldn't hit, but that's not like the total reason. They had a plan for him, kind of maybe to pop him up at first base, make him a utility infielder or something while working on his hitting. Okay. I think kid's got talent. He has a spot on the team. He really does.
Yeah. Well, he's another one whose the defense is kind of suspect. So with the universal DH, he could be your DH, and you can bring up the kid Bryson Stott and play third base or move
that would help
around and
try.
That would help kind of put the stamp on the infield.
It would, yeah, because you would probably have Segura playing short or second at that point.
Yeah. Right? I don't think he ever leaves.
Yeah.
He retires here. I think he's just a great hitter and a just defensive. You can put him anywhere.
Assuming they play 140 games, let's just say, which sounds to be about the right number. They shave off April
at the moment.
At the moment.
Yeah, at the moment.
How many wins would you put it, guys? What do you think?
That's tough.
Because they were an 82-win team last year, in the thick of the wild card race for most of the season. Had the lead late in August in the division, but then faltered down the stretch in September. And they've had that kind of a September swoon where they have not pushed across the finish line to clinch spots.
I'll leave you with two scenarios.
Okay.
Trusting in Girardi. Okay. Mm-hmm. If everything falls apart the same way, I think they win similar amount of games.
Okay.
I don't know what the for the 82 to 162, I don't know what it is, but they'll win a similar amount of games.
Would you put them at 80?
The amount of games that they play. So they'll be in the thick of it.
Would you be putting them at 85?
That's a lot.
If it was 162, yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand the equivalent of paying 148.
Well, yeah, and also another factor to this too is the bullpen. The bullpen was god awful last year.
I think we get better if we just have the same season over again. We lose Reese, we fall apart, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. They'll finish a little bit better than last year because they'll learn from it. Mm-hmm. Now, if Reese is healthy and they do the same thing they did before and plug it in, they got to be 7 to 8 more wins better than they were last year.
Okay.
Because they've solved all their problems that they had. Like we're talking about, center fielder's gone. Who's more of a liability than an asset. Mm-hmm. You've solved left field. You've solved third base with the DH and being able to move different people to first base, which I think is, if the DH is going to happen, you can move 3 guys and rotate first base, and you move Reese right to left, and you solve your outfield problem.
Yeah,
quickly.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Steve, what are you thinking? Like in terms of
John keeps saying they've solved all these problems. They have not solved.
No, they haven't. I'm just saying if they do, it's just.
If they do. I mean, and I disagree. I don't think putting Reese in left field solves any problem.
Might be a stopgap.
It's a stopgap, but they once things finally, the lockout is lifted, they're going to have to work hard in free agency to land and fix the holes that they have. And until they do that, and I see who's there, if it's Kyle Schwarber, maybe the answer is one thing, but if it's Joe Schmo from whatever, because that's the last available option to play left field, then my answer could change.
Yeah.
Half of 140 would be 70. John's scenario, if it's the exact same thing goes down this season, they'd win probably 71 games.
Okay.
I'd
probably not
going to see them win 76, 77.
Okay.
They can fill the holes they need to fill.
Okay.
You have to fill the holes. Yeah.
They have to, but I mean, it's you can't force guys to come here
if they don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the shortened season is going to be interesting because it's like, because I mean, let's face it, they're going to try. They're saying like, oh well, we'll probably do double headers and all that. They're not going to go along with that.
It could help us more than other teams,
maybe
because how streaky we are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
we could, if you get on a run somehow.
But they have to fill these holes. Like without filling these holes, they are exactly the same team.
Yeah.
If they do the double headers, they're probably going to do like they did. Was it last year or was it just the COVID
7 innings? Yeah.
Where there's 7 innings.
Yeah. Manfred's just such a
Yeah, well, that's what the baseball season comes down to. Manfred's a douchebag.
He is. He's the worst commissioner, and I mean, and Roger Goodell is. I'm right there with you, Johnny, in terms of that regard. But I mean, let's face it. This guy, when he walked in and moved the All-Star game, it was over. At that point, it was over for me. It's like you've lost all credibility at that point, moving because of the woke culture, freaking out over an election bill. It's like, dude, just get out of the way of politics. Let the players play the games. And now all of a sudden he's back in it after not doing anything for 40 days. He was just sitting on his ass in December, not doing a single thing.
I got.
Here we are.
I got one thing to say about it. We've known each other for, all three of us have known each other for years and years and years. Could you imagine us as teenagers and young adults sitting around talking about how Gary Bettman might be the best commissioner? How funny is that?
That's pretty funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What you mentioned right there, though, Matt, is what pisses me off.
Yeah.
About this whole thing is you locked him out December, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you didn't talk for what was it, 40 days?
40 days.
And I can't
phone call.
I can't say, maybe the players union has to take some blame for that if they weren't like, hey, can we talk?
I believe so. I believe they need to take some blame for it, but
pick up the phone, John.
But that's what I'm saying. In the CBA conversations, this is why his office and him is the worst. Yeah. Because in prior years of Selig years with lockout, guys under Selig would do the dirty work. Yeah. He wouldn't let anybody talk to anybody.
Yeah.
He froze his office out. So he's more to blame. Yes, the players union is to blame, but he did extra bullshit.
Well, no,
just to make sure that this didn't happen.
I'm only saying the players union is to blame for the delay. To the extent, and I don't know whether they were or not, to the extent they weren't saying, hey, why aren't we talking?
They didn't go public, and they should have.
Not hard to pick one of these up and give them a call. Yeah,
exactly. But I give Manfred 98% of the blame for where we're at now.
100%, yeah, and I 100% agree with you.
What is the sticking point? Does anybody know at this point? Is it just the luxury tax?
The luxury tax, yeah, it's the luxury tax, and really, it's at a point where the small market teams don't feel comfortable going up to $271 million because that's really it's all about the competitive balance.
I'm not shocked by that at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Small market teams, you're not pulling that revenue.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you going to charge? $1,155 for a hot dog? Because it's the only way you're going to get it back to compete with the Yankees if you're
Kansas City, Minnesota, or like any of these small market, Oakland, if you're like any of these small market teams, you literally have no shot against the Yankees, against teams that are like the high dollar market.
Yeah, but for competitive balance, I've always found that to be a crock. Right? The Yankees do not win the World Series every year. The Kansas City Royals won it a few years ago. The Houston Astros won it a few years ago. And these are not teams that are spending to the max like the Yankees are.
Yep.
Okay, so you can't give me that competitive balance bullshit on the luxury tax.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's the sticking point. Yeah.
I could see the small market teams not wanting to play, not wanting to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
But what you have to do is you have to either keep the luxury tax the way it is. You can't raise it. You can't force half your league to get up to a level that they're not comfortable being.
Well, now wait. We're talking about the max threshold for the luxury tax. I never heard that was the minimum. I'm sure they have a minimum.
I think they do have a minimum,
and it probably would get raised. But nobody's saying you have to spend to the limit of $200 and whatever million it is.
And I think it might have been the minimum is the concern. But in any event,
that makes
really
sense.
the players are looking at this and they're saying, see that right there, what you're talking about with spending caps or whatever, they're calling that a salary cap. And they're saying, no, we don't want that. We don't want the salary cap. We don't want NFL style salary cap. And that's the clash that they're having right now. It's the same old what it was back 20 years ago with Selig. Same exact thing. And they came up with the luxury tax and they called it a day, and it was just like, you know what, okay, yeah, that makes sense, and we'll have labor peace for a long, long time. Now all of a sudden, when you've got more playoff games, all that kind of stuff. They want more piece of that pie in terms
they
of
want more
revenue. Exactly.
And
but yeah, Manfred
frankly, they
dropped
should get. They should get.
Yeah. Yeah, and Manfred has really dropped the ball in this because, again, I could keep going back to, like, you had 40 days, you didn't do jack during the month of December.
You could get those two sides to come together. You really could.
I think you could.
In those 40 days, you could have gotten everybody comfortable with getting a little bit of...
Send an email.
Both of them getting screwed.
Send a freaking smoke signal. Send a fax, for God's sakes.
You could have done this. Like, you're both getting screwed, but you're going to get screwed. A good commissioner... Like Gary Bettman does it all the time. Sorry, guys, you're going to get screwed this much. You're going to get screwed this much. Let's keep making money.
Yeah.
He didn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but let's move on. Oh,
I have another point I want to raise.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Please.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of this is going to get any better because I think the system is broken.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I think the system is broken is because, and it ties hand in hand on why the big money teams don't always win. Yeah. It's because you have the young guys who don't make their money. Mm-hmm. They outperform their contracts, right? But then when guys can actually hit the market and get money, they basically get paid for past performance. And so you get stuck with these monster contracts with guys who are underperforming. Yeah. And that's where a lot, I think, of the spending problem comes in. You need to, and I don't have the solution, but somehow we need to fix the compensation system so that when guys are actually performing, they can make their money so that they're not later in the game making money that they're not earning then and tying up teams, salary numbers.
And that's the biggest problem of all sports is the dead contract at the end of the
career or whatever.
There's gotta be basketball does an interesting thing with the buyouts. Maybe that could work.
They don't have a cap in basketball, do they?
No, but I think they have a luxury tax.
It's a luxury tax.
I think they have a luxury tax, yeah. But I think they do it better because they have buyouts and they have money compensation for trades.
Okay.
Have to reach a certain amount, so a team isn't getting completely screwed like
screwed
baseball
over with
does. Like if they
exorbitant,
if they take on a huge contract.
Got it.
Well, basketball is tough comparison though to baseball because basketball you got fewer players.
Yeah.
And
you're not dealing with the amount of money you deal with.
Right. Yeah. But your superstar players are really the ones who kind of govern who wins.
Yeah.
Whereas baseball, it's just the nature of the game. It's more spread out.
Los Angeles Lakers might have something to disagree with you on that, Steve.
Well, look, I mean, superstars who are actually in their prime and not.
But he wants a parade. Damn it! Give him a parade. He wants a parade with him in it.
Exactly.
He didn't win.
Because he didn't win. That's right.
Who?
LeBron.
He wants to have a dual parade with all the LA teams that won this year.
Yeah.
Because he won last year.
That was I don't count the bubble.
Exactly. That's a big.
That's not a championship, LeBron. Sorry. Exactly. Go home. We don't like you.
Let's move on. Topic number 2 here, guys. Let's talk the state of the Philadelphia 76ers. And
much better state.
Oh, thank
my goodness gracious. We, of course, did a deep dive with the James Harden deal and Ben Simmons. And I think, a memo to Stephen A., I think the Sixers might have won the deal. Just letting you know now.
I mean, long term is yet to be seen. I could see the argument of James Harden is a great player that has played for a bunch of teams. I can see that argument. I'm not going to give it much thought, but I can see it. Yep. I can see why it would exist.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
But yeah, we're high on basketball right now.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
God, it's been fun.
Undefeated ever since
fun.
When he has been in the starting lineup, and the Sixers really have never looked better. Tyrese Maxey, I think, is his name.
Yes.
Tyrell. Yeah. So he's.
Oh, come on, Matt.
Yes.
Come on, Tyrese Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, come on.
Just been on fire. I mean, this young kid, my God.
Can I give you guys a stat?
Let's lay it on me, Johnny.
He's
Go
the
for it.
fourth of 3 players in the history of basketball to have 30% or under 3-point his rookie year and shoot over 40% his second year, minimum of 100, and I think he has 202 tries. So he's...
One has to wonder, why is that the case? And I think
Harden?
the answer is one James Harden. Who,
James Harden makes...
his passing is unbelievable.
His passing is unbelievable, but the fact that he moves, and he much like Yager, and Steve will know exactly where I'm going with this. When Yager would move 6 feet, there'd be a lot of open ice for some players to move the puck around him.
Yeah.
Harden does the exact same thing. He dribbles the ball up. He throws about 150 miles an hour into Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid throws it right back to him. He drops it to Maxey and he runs away. And a bunch of players go, "Where the fuck did James go?" He's wide open.
Yeah.
So that's a key to success. But that's to Steve's point with baseball and the difference between it. But that's basketball.
Yeah. The pick and rolls.
Superstar players make a difference.
Yeah, the pick and rolls have just been masterful. From the highlights that I've seen in the games I've watched, it's just been masterful.
Undoubtedly, Harden's had an impact on Maxey, but Maxey was doing pretty well before Harden got here.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would attribute it to the ability to listen to your coaches and take advice and criticism and work to better your game.
Really?
Good ones, too.
Yeah.
You know, point guards could do a lot when they do that.
Interesting.
Especially when you're listening to Sam Cassell, not shitting on Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
Sam Cassell could play the game.
He could play the game.
Yes, he could.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are. Sixers are 2 back of the Miami Heat, you know, and they're playing very well. Obviously, Miami's playing very, very well as well. Guys, where do you see the Sixers ending up at the end of everything? Do we have the dreaded P word, or what's going to happen here? Like what?
You know better than anyone not to.
That's why I mentioned it. I did not say it, so there you go.
It's simple. Like tonight, as we record, tonight is the Heat game.
Yep.
That's a huge measuring stick. I consider the 2 Knicks games as a measuring stick because the Knicks, the last couple of years, they beat us up inside, and it's always a dogfight. And they looked a little bit better, scored a little more points, a couple more points, and looked a little bit better. They weren't taking the abuse against the Knicks. So there's a couple stepping stones before we're going to say the dreaded whatever.
Yeah.
And they look real good if they perform well against the Heat, and they kind of treat the Heat like they treated the Cavs and the Knicks. You're going to start to see them. They're going to stretch away from some teams. So I can see them being a top seed.
That's a number 1. Steve, do you think they're a number 1 seed at the end of the day, or are they going to be in the top, let's just say top 4?
Look,
or top 3?
They're playing what I consider C level basketball at the moment. And they still blew out the Knicks. Blew out Minnesota, and they overcame a 71-point first half by the Cleveland Cavaliers last night.
Yeah.
And we have it like Tobias Harris is still MIA, right?
Yeah.
You're starting to see flashes from him, though. He's starting
slowly
to come back. Very slow flashes, which is a great sign.
No question.
Absolutely. If they can finally start to play even B-level basketball, I think the number 1 seed is absolutely within reach.
I think with the acquisition of Jordan, being able to spell Embiid and have a threat in the middle is going to kind of take them to that next level, because you have a big that you can still play the same game with, who can score and rebound well. It doesn't have to be great. Remember when we talked about losing Drummond was like the major part of like, the spell Embiid. We just signed a guy almost exactly the same player.
So again, you're not
He's going to
Or
be
worried.
the one thing that we, of course, we all miss Seth Curry. We love you, Seth Curry. But you
Come
gotta
back in
trade
2
someone to
years,
get someone.
Seth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll sign you. We'll sign you real quick.
Yeah.
The only thing that
gotta
worries me
trade
about
someone to get someone.
the only thing that worries me about DeAndre Jordan is that pass he threw
Mhm.
in his last game as a Laker. That was
Yeah,
not
but if
good.
I was playing for the Lakers, I'm surprised he did just kick LeBron in the dinghy. He's very unhappy there. For reports that were coming out when he got waived, he was the happiest. Like,
Yeah.
he knew where he would, like, they had already talked, like the Sixers and them. That was the Morey, like, I have a plan, but I can't say anything. I think they already had talked, and when he was whistling Dixie right out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He couldn't be out of there so quick.
Going.
Yeah, exactly. Sixers 39-23 at the time of this recording, gents. Like I said,
Weren't they like at 30 games in the season? Weren't they 500?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
And that was on Joe's back.
Yeah, and also I would say Doc. And
Yeah,
coaching.
it was good. It was good coaching.
Because let's face it,
Maxey coming along, but being a 2-tier player, not a 3-tier player. He's not the third guy in the monster. He's the 2 guy. Pick and roll wasn't as good as it is with Harden. So Joe wasn't getting to the free throw line at the rate he's getting to the free throw line now, which is 7-8 extra points to his game.
Mm-hmm.
And people are complaining about that.
Isn't that amazing?
But learn how to stop it. Harden has literally, Ben was the absolute throw it in, get Embiid's hands up high. Embiid would have to do all the work. Harden has created this wonderful, I'll put the ball on your hip and you've got options.
Yeah.
Now Joe's got options.
Yeah.
Now Joe's going to make you look stupid.
Yeah.
Joe makes you look stupid when you give him a thought process. He's not typical, grab the ball and dunk it. He wants to shoot it. He wants to do the Akeem. He wants to be Shaq sometimes. He wants to pass out of that. He wants to be a complete basketball player. And Harden's given that to him.
Yeah, exactly. He's made Embiid better, which if you're the NBA, you're scared to death over that because of the fact
already the MVP. And
I think he's a hands down MVP.
You just put something with him that is going to show him how to be an MVP.
Yeah. From a guy that has been the MVP, I think.
Yes,
right?
be a good leader to him, but also teach him a game of basketball he's probably never seen before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
And that's huge.
That's huge. Yeah, especially for Embiid. So
remember what Eric Lindros did for John LeClaire?
Yeah,
that's what we're looking at in basketball right now.
Yeah, and that's a great comparison because you look at a Lindros-LeClaire pairing. Everybody was like John LeClaire. Third line winger, right? He wasn't really doing all much. He did have a great run in Montreal, obviously scoring a few huge goals.
He scored the 2 huge goals, but other than that, he wasn't like a name.
Wasn't a 50-goal scorer,
no.
And Lindros made him a 50-goal scorer. I mean, that kind of a deal. So those were some great teams back then too.
Oh yeah,
great line.
I could see a lot of comparisons with the Legion of Doom and these 3.
Oh yeah,
you got a guy like
if you get Tobias up and running, that's really the big question because you got Maxey playing out of his mind, and
he's the fourth option. Tobias is the 4th option that could easily score 20 points a game.
If you
that's unbelievable. That's unheard of.
Yeah, they've got like 20 games left, I think, in the regular season. I'm just looking at it, 39-23, so they're like looking at about 62 games in. So you got another 20. Mm-hmm. So you figure, like, let's just say if they go 2/3, that would be probably what you're looking at of 20 games left. You're probably looking at 14. So you're adding that. So you're talking maybe 55, 56 wins.
I think they win between 13 and 16.
Yeah.
Just because they're playing some teams down the stretch that aren't good, and they're just going to abuse them. That's going to be rest time. They used to be a team. The Sixers in this town used to be a team that played well against good teams. Mm-hmm. They played against really good teams, and they blew out bad teams. Now it's a team where they're blowing out good teams. The bad teams
and coming back from really
even
good
show
teams,
up, and they can compete with all the good teams.
Yeah. I'll flash the division or the conference standings here on screen. And so you got Miami 1, Sixers right now 2, Milwaukee at 3. Interesting.
Good team.
You got Chicago at 4, but they're falling off a cliff. They've lost, I think, 4 of the last few games, and I think they're 2-8, if I'm not mistaken. 6-4 in the last 10.
I heard somebody say they've got a good record, but their record against top teams is not good.
It's not very good.
So that might be just a kind of a bottom feeding surge.
That's very true.
Boston at 5, Cleveland at 6, and then you had the play-in tournament.
Boston and Cleveland are good teams.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. Like
Celtics have bounced back very nicely.
Yeah, we're going to, if we meet them in the playoffs, last night was a prime example of Cleveland. Cleveland took us to the woodshed in the first half.
Oh yeah.
They were getting all the calls. They were playing all the right sets, making all the right shots. They were doing everything they could. Yeah. The one thing that they didn't have is JoJo, who was like, "No, this is my game. I'm gonna take over."
Took it over. Yep.
And that's what we got to hope for.
Then you have your play-in tournament games, play-in tournament teams, I should say. You got Toronto at 7, the lovely Brooklyn Nets at 8, Atlanta at 9, and you have Charlotte at 10.
I honestly don't think the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think they can get.
I don't think they can make it
get together in time.
Yeah,
they can't. That was a blow up. That I think the Nets general manager made a trade. He made a simple thought. I make this trade because I'm at my wit's end and I can't do anything else. It's a crapshoot. We are either going to shoot up in the tournament or it's a rebuild year. And I think he's looking at it I think he looks at it differently than Stephen A. Stephen A wants to say they won the trade. I think he made the trade to try to win the trade, but also knew that he could lose the trade easily.
Of the teams out,
look,
go ahead,
Ben's not coming back before March 10th.
Nope.
Which disappoints me, but
I don't think he's coming back to the playoffs.
I think we knew he wasn't coming back until March 10th. So there's more, KD's back, but even he couldn't stop them from losing their last
KD's
game.
old.
Yeah, 31 and lost.
Yeah. He's old. He's basketball old. Like his game is not conducive to someone that hurts.
Yeah.
Like he's done he has, and he's a big dude.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. And Kyrie they're not lifting that mandate in New York anytime soon.
Yeah. So that's a big factor as well.
You heard I think it was the mayor, it was like the behavior we want to encourage is people to get vaccinated before they come back to work. And so Kyrie's not going to do it. And I heard an interesting scenario. So suppose Brooklyn makes the play-in game and they have to go to Toronto, where there's also a mandate and Kyrie can't play.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
It's like they checkmated themselves in the position.
Yeah,
it's huge.
They're not the best of teams.
Yeah. Guys, let's have one final question before we move on to the third topic. But of the teams that are in the playoffs right now, who do you think would give the Sixers the most trouble? Again, it's Miami at 1, Milwaukee at 3, Chicago, Boston, Cleveland. I'm not going to count the play-in teams, but of those 5, who do you think would give the most difficulty to the Sixers?
After last night's game, absolutely. If Cleveland learned anything from last night's game, they can play with the Sixers. They might not be able to beat the Sixers, but that should have been a huge confidence builder. Yeah. I think them, the Heat, and Boston are the toughest. I'm not scared of any of the teams, but those are the ones that they're gonna make you not walk away to go to the refrigerator, get your beer or your soda, or heat up a piece of pizza while you're watching the game. You're gonna be right on the TV with those guys.
Steve, what do you think?
I disagree on Cleveland. They took the first half yesterday on insane shooting, which is not going to happen.
In the playoffs.
I mean, they hit. I don't even remember. They asked Doc ridiculous. About it. Yeah. Doc's message at halftime was, "Look, one team is shooting 55% and is losing because the other team is shooting 99% or whatever, so whatever insane stat they had. That's not going to happen again.
That's not going to happen. Yeah.
It's not going to happen every game. So I'm not as worried about Cleveland. Boston, just because of the way they played us last time we played them, even though we didn't have Harden, worries me a little bit.
Yeah.
But
okay. That's good.
What do you think of Toronto?
Toronto's hard to get a read on.
I want to watch. I want to watch tonight's game to kind of really get a read on Toronto. But yeah, you're right. They are. They've been at the top for so long.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they don't have Lowry anymore.
Yeah,
they've got a lot of injuries.
Maybe knock Toronto off the list. Maybe we need to see them play against this version of the Sixers to see what actually
happens. Yeah,
you blow them out the gym, and then they're not the number one seed.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're just waiting until we get there.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's move on to a third topic. And
I've been trying to
up down.
So we didn't have to talk about this.
This is going to be really bad. Yeah, Johnny, tell me about it. Third topic here: the state of the Philadelphia Flyers. Oh boy,
this is about as embarrassing as a dumbass congresswoman standing up and hooting and hollering during a State of the Union.
There was two of them. Weren't there?
Two of them.
Oh, yeah, like this? Yeah. Two. I don't know what that was, but okay.
Yeah, I said this.
This is bad.
And I'm going to say this again. A bunch of people getting together to put on a television production, which is the State of the Union, less of what it does for the country. It is a television production. Yeah. A bunch of people got together and did a very bad job.
Oh yeah,
very bad job.
It's really bad. Exactly. But guys, the Flyers. They are not the 90s Flyers. They're not the 2000s Flyers. They're not even the 2010 Cup run. This team is just god-awful. Last in the division, obviously, at 42 points. Give you an idea, Carolina has 81 points in the division. So almost exactly one half. I think Steve's about ready to hang himself over there.
I've got questions, though.
Only the Montreal Canadiens are worse. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, Johnny. What kind of questions do you have?
I've got questions because I don't know much about. I watched a couple games this year. It doesn't fit my rotation.
Unfortunately, this might be like Blade Runner, where
I got questions.
He goes and asks the eye guy questions, and the guy's like, "I don't have answers."
I don't think we have answers, but I don't know if they're as bad as they're advertised, and these are my questions. Let's just say they trade Claude Giroux because it just seems like that is the.
I don't think it solves their problems, but go on.
No, I don't think it solves their problems, but I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just saying, if they get a good return,
okay,
does that make them better, or is that just the first piece and they need to make a million moves?
Well, there's a couple factors. One, I don't think I've ever seen a season like this where a team has been completely decimated with injury.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've lost your number one defenseman. You've lost your number one center in Sean Couturier. You've lost your second line center in what's his name?
Kevin Hayes.
Kevin Hayes.
Yeah.
You've lost him. Konechny has been MIA for the most part. I mean, where is he? He doesn't nowhere to be found. And Provorov, I think, has languished again because he needs his number one pairing.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure's on him, and he cannot respond.
I think we've talked about that on previous ones.
We've talked about that on previous. If you trade a Claude Giroux, I would love to know what the pieces are. If you get young players that are talented, that can score goals, then yeah, I would be totally on favor with that. And yeah, I would want to have a good, solid defenseman in that package. I think he warrants that.
What if you get a young, gonna be number one defenseman?
I need proof.
He might be 3 or 4 now, but his projected's going to be a 1, and Johnny, you get a top 6 forward. Is that a good enough haul? Or
you have to improve the scoring. The scoring has been god awful. James Van Riemsdyk, we were looking at the stats in pre-production. James Van Riemsdyk needs to go. Like I don't know what happened, but that was a bad signing. Again, they cannot find guys that can score minimum 20 goals. Minimum. they find guys that score 10, 15. That's not good enough in this NHL. It's not. You need guys that at least minimum can score 20, and let's see if we can get 30. And maybe extend to 35. Like, we need, like, Cam Atkinson, I think, can do that. But he doesn't have the players around him to be able to score that. He's proven that, I think, in the past with a much lesser talent base in Columbus. So, okay, you've got a potential 35 guy, but you need another one. And you've got to find him somewhere. Like, he's got to be, like, hiding in a cupboard somewhere. And I think this falls on Fletcher. I think this is like Chuck Fletcher has got to look at this draft, this upcoming draft, and find something. Find a talented winger that can put the puck in the net.
That's the problem. This is a weak draft.
This draft is getting like this beer. It's kind of empty. I've heard Steve say it a couple times. I did a little research for the podcast. This draft is this draft is bad. I tried to do research on a couple guys who can't even find out who they are.
Yeah, we sucked in the wrong year, man.
It really did.
Look,
but it's been like this before in the past.
The injuries don't just – it hasn't just been injuries to the top centers and your top defensemen either.
Yeah.
The Phantoms who have the guys who they could call up to fill in for depth have been decimated too. Tyson Forster was a big pick. Yeah. I forget which year it was.
Yep.
But he's got a cannon of a shot. He looked really good, and then he went and he like broke his shoulder or something, and he's out for the season.
And Wade Allison coming back the way that breaking your shoulder is something that you don't. Your shot's not where it was.
He's young enough. I think he'll be fine, but he's gone for this season.
Yeah, for sure.
He wasn't going to help this year.
Nope.
Wade Allison was supposed to be. I loved his game last year. Mm-hmm. He was supposed to be a good net front presence, like power play guy.
Yep.
Real good grit in your kind of middle to bottom six. He's been hurt all year. Mm-hmm. It's the amount of injuries to this team have just been awful. And I know people don't like to make excuses, but at some point there is reality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the problem then is maybe depth, but Chuck admitted in one of his press conferences like we need more top end talent. Because they just don't have it.
They just don't have it.
And this draft is not going to give it to them. And I'll tell you, I saw what the rumored package was from Colorado for Claude Giroux, and I was not overwhelmed with it.
What's the root? Because I don't even know what the root.
I don't even remember what the names were, but
no, not names, but like talent wise. I'm asking.
You're talking like a middle six guy.
Not good enough.
And
no.
Yeah, and it's a projected middle six. He's not even there yet.
Yeah, not even good enough.
No. I'd be okay with that on the D. I'm not okay with that. Like if you're gonna trade Claude Giroux, you need a guy that fits right into the six. The defenseman can come along. I can get a fourth projected to a 2. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or a 6 that's projected to the 2. I'm okay with that. Like youth. I'm okay with that on the defensive, but you can't get rid of Giroux for someone that you can't plug right into.
That may make it. No.
Yeah.
No, you need a talent.
May make it is not a guy you can trade.
Yeah.
Look, we have a blueprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
After the awful 06-07 year.
Yeah.
Well, during and after, Holmgren made a series of moves that got us to the Eastern Conference Finals the very next season. Yeah. Okay, he traded Forsberg. Got some talent there.
Yeah.
He acquired Timonen and Hartnell.
Upshaw
was part of the Forsberg trade.
Okay. Yes. And you needed that speed, which he definitely provided. Yeah.
He acquired Timonen, the rights to Timonen and Hartnell in the offseason. He signed Danny Briere.
Big.
And that was a huge turnaround.
Yeah.
I don't know that those types of moves are available, but a guy in Calgary is supposed to be going off of his deal.
Mm-hmm.
Here, he might be a good fit.
Local kid. Yep. He would fill need. He would be like a 30-goal scorer. Johnny Gaudreau would definitely be a 30-goal scorer.
The thing that worries me about that is the same thing with they made the move for Van Riemsdyk. If we had Toronto,
it's not the same.
If we had him in Toronto, like the way he played in Toronto, if he was playing now, we wouldn't be worried about him. But he's not.
But he's not that. Not even.
He's that. That's John. That's 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. He's also. I mean, the only thing that he really does now, John, is he is like the modern day Tim Kerr. Basically, you park him in front of the net and tip it in. That's great and all in the power play, but when you're asked to do that as a third liner,
But that
or you
worries me.
move up to a second, that's not going to cut it.
But that worries me about signing free agents because it is. Do they have a plan? That's my question.
That's a
my
great
next
question.
Do they have a plan?
Van Riemsdyk was kind of the top free agent in it was not a good class of free agents.
It was a very bad year. I remember that. Yeah.
And Toronto was willing to let him go because of the money that he was going to get and which the Flyers gave him.
Yep.
Which was huge compared to what Toronto originally offered him.
He had some great seasons in Toronto, but he was not going to match that coming at this age.
Yeah.
And Matt's right. His game is net front presence, and he's no good on the rush anymore.
No.
He was when he was younger, but not anymore.
Not anymore.
Defensively, he's always been suspect.
I think from the beginning, even when he
park him in front of the net and hope for a rebound. But again, that's great on the power play, but it doesn't. 5-on-5, forget it. I'm not putting him out there. I mean, he literally is what Steve just said. I mean, he is.
This makes me sad.
The liability on defense is really what's bad. I know.
It doesn't seem like there's much hope.
Well, there's no question. I think they have to look at it, John, and look at it as this is. I think Steve's right, though. If you attack this, targeted, what you need, and that's where you go after to get it. And I think that's what Holmgren did masterfully in 08-09, because you're exactly right, Steve. That's exactly what he did. He targeted pieces that he needed. And part of that is, I think the sad fact of reality is I do think Giroux has to be traded either now or after the season is over. He has to agree to that, to be released from his no trade clause. But I think it's a stepping stone, and you must, as part of that deal, you have to get goal scorers. You have to, period.
You have to get a home run on the return.
Absolutely. Yeah, like a proven guy that can score goals and be young and whatever. Because I think Giroux's 34?
34.
34? Yeah.
He's either 34 now or he'll be 34. I don't remember which it is, but yeah.
I think
I hate to see him go because he's he's one of the all-time greatest Flyers ever.
I think we decided he was going to play to 40. So yeah, he's right around. So he should be coming into his 34 because we said his Hall of Fame career he'd have to reach 40.
Yeah.
Matching his stats
with Martin St. Louis. Yeah. So I mean,
what bugs me is the people who think that you gotta tank and get high draft picks and that's going to be the solution. And my response to that is
that's not hockey.
Buffalo has had a lot of high draft picks for a lot of years.
Yes.
And they're still in shit place.
And they're okay sometimes. I don't want the Flyers to be that team.
Buffalo.
Right.
Hockey does not endure draft picks and growth.
Yeah.
It's the draft in hockey is more the number one pick, of course. The first couple are good unless it's that 90 draft, that 17,052 Hall of Famers drafted in one draft.
Everybody did well.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody went to the Hall of Fame that was drafted in that draft. But most of the time, you get top 6 maybe, but then you get plug-and-plays. You get guys in the 13th round. You get guys in the 7th round. You get muckers. You get grinders. You get those guys that make themselves players.
Yeah.
So draft-wise in hockey, it's free agency and it's growth in your farm system.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta hit. It's not that you need a top 5 draft pick. You just need to hit
on your picks.
You need to hit on your picks wherever they are.
And then bring them up in your systems. It's a lot like baseball in that aspect. You pick raw talent, but then you have to have the system that brings them along. And the Flyers did a really good job of that for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They need that. Maybe that's what they need to get back to.
Yeah.
I mean, here's their perfect example. They had, I don't remember what the pick number was. Something tells me it was 16, or maybe it was whatever the pick was. They drafted in the first round German Rubtsov. That was a huge miss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked at that draft, so I don't know who came after him. We could have had, but you can't.
Okay, you're saying that's in the teens, right?
It was probably in the teens, maybe early 20s.
Where was Claude Giroux? Where was Claude Giroux when he was?
Giroux was 26.
Well, Giroux was like 23rd or something like
26,
that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They put him in the system. They took raw talent. I mean, he was good, but he isn't the player he is now.
No.
He's
developed into that player, and that's exactly like you don't miss on those.
That's the biggest point.
Is absolutely you don't miss on those because you're losing a player.
Yeah,
exactly
right. Yeah, if they don't produce, it's almost like you have to start all over again, and that's not what the Flyers.
And it seems like it's happened over and over again.
Yeah.
And to continue my thought, Buffalo's had a bunch of high picks.
Yeah,
no, and
Jersey's picked high recently.
They
still suck.
Yeah.
Okay. Even when you land a generational player like Connor McDavid, Edmonton hasn't gone anywhere in the. They
kind of remind me of like the '90s Flyers, only they're not as good as the '90s Flyers. They only have McDavid and Draisaitl, and that's pretty much it. Like Lindros, Leclerc, and that's it. I don't know if anybody else that's Nugent Hopkins. I think is there maybe on witness protection, but
when they had Lindros, Leclerc, they started to build around
them,
and that's key. Hitting on certain things.
Yeah. And they have not done that up there in Edmonton either. Yeah, you're right.
I could see people saying blow it up because there really are no answers. But maybe just starting with not screwing up the next draft.
Yeah.
Hitting on somebody, maybe you can build off of that. And that draft the next year, I believe, is way better.
Yeah, the projected top pick next year is his last name is Bedard. And he looks real good. But you could suck next year
and not get it. Yeah.
And not get him. And then you've just wasted a year again.
Yeah.
Trying to land somebody who you ended up not getting.
But maybe not get
Patrick Kane. Generational talent all the time.
Yes.
That's the point. You have to hit on these picks. You absolutely have to hit them. 100%.
But not even maybe they don't get the number one pick. But if they hit on 2 or 3 drafts, I bet you we're talking It's
a different tune.
In a couple of years.
Absolutely.
We're starting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the Phillies, the Eagles. Like as they grew into those championships, we were having these same conversations.
Oh yeah. It's just a matter of just being, I guess you could say, being patient. But
I mean, I don't want to be patient, but
I don't want to be. I want to win now.
I want to see Claude Giroux win a title. I really wish it was with the Flyers.
Me too.
But I really don't want to give up Claude Giroux because I'm not hearing anything. We're not getting anything to be excited about.
I know.
And you're only making your team worse that way. Exactly. You're literally only making them to rebuild them worse than they already are with this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather just hold on to him. I'd rather hold on to him, put him in the Hall of Fame, and enjoy watching him.
Yeah, exactly. It's robbing him of the chance to really win a cup. At the same time, it's deflating our chances of really kind of taking that next step. So it's a different crossroads moment for them, and we'll have to see what happens. But
the good news is you can year to year in most sports.
Yeah.
Can year to year. There's ways to do it. I don't see the path, but
we've got a goalie.
Oh yeah,
that's the good news. We've got a goalie.
That's really good. Like really good. We got a goalie. That's important.
That's a legit.
The Jersey Devils sucked for years and years and years, but they had Marty Brown Martin
Brodeur. Let's not confuse those two.
But they kept saying that. I remember Jersey would say that all the time on ESPN when they talk. Well, we've got a fixture.
You've got the goalie.
You know what I mean? Like we've got some things we can build around, and they finally built around it.
Yep.
In '95. So we got a goalie. I mean, that's something to be excited about.
Oh no question.
You've got a defenseman that if you can get him if you just get him that guy that just makes him more comfortable, he can become more of an offensive threat and help.
Yeah.
But you don't have that guy. That's
you don't
the
have that guy.
It's not just you have Provorov, you got to get him fixed. You have Sanheim. Sanheim's a good defenseman.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay, he's got some offensive talent. He's still.
He's
I saw him make.
He's not the one to play with Provorov. He's the
No.
He's the two. You need that kind of stalwart to play with Provorov to open him up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you've got some good young defense pieces, and Cam York down in the minors. He's going to be good.
Yep.
You've got young good pieces defensively. The forwards is really where you got to build.
Yeah.
Get more offense and more defensive responsibility.
Yeah.
I'll say.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly think the defensive responsibility, just from the games that I watched, is probably more important than the scoring, because if they're playing more presence of the red line, they'll get the guys that can do the dipsy do and score the goals on the breakaways, because they're cutting off them off at the pass. And that's something they don't do. They just from the games, and I'm not a professional when it comes to like understanding hockey, but when you're letting people skate free, bad things happen to you.
Yeah.
And I feel
a lot of
that.
Yeah. Here's another thing too. A lot of this, I'm a big believer in confidence. I think confidence is an extremely important part of any game, both as an individual and as a team.
Yes.
Yeah. And they have none.
They have none. They are, I mean, I've watched a bunch of games recently. I haven't watched much this season, but I've watched a couple games recently. And they are hanging in there.
Yeah.
With tough teams.
Yeah.
Okay. They're hanging in there with Pittsburgh, with the Washington Capitals, with the Carolina Hurricanes, with the Minnesota Wild. They're hanging with these big, good teams. And then the third period, and they're either ahead or like tied or behind by only one goal going in the third period. But and then something happens in the third period that it just blows up.
Yeah.
And they lose.
Yeah.
So they're hanging tough with these teams. They're just not able to get over that hump and finish.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, is a confidence issue.
No doubt.
You're going into the third period and you see something go wrong. It's here we go again.
Here we go again. And we've been on that. We've been on teams like that, Jen. So all three of us have been.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it is deflating. There's no question about it, because it's like no matter how hard you work, it's not good enough to get across that finish line. Steve, to your point, you're exactly right. And that's where they are right now. And until they get that mindset really surgically removed from themselves, because that can feed. And it's like
that also comes with a trade or a huge free agent signing or a organizational move. That Forsberg is a huge learning piece to this. When the Flyers got Forsberg, right?
Yep.
The town, it's James Harden all over again. When you get that guy and everybody's like, oh shit, we're the best. Everybody starts to believe it. The fans believe it. The players believe it.
Yeah.
Are the Sixers world beaters? We don't know.
We don't know.
It feels like it right now, because we just got and maybe the Flyers can just turn it around with that. You got it. Like I said before, you got a goalie. You never know.
You got some pieces here and there, but it's just a matter of trying to fill in that jigsaw puzzle.
And I'm excited. I'm excited to see them, the rebirth of them. I don't know when it's coming, but I'm.
If they get it together,
it's an end of an era and it's a beginning of a new era. So it feels like something's got to give at this point.
They have to get it right, I think, is probably our biggest thing. And if they're able to do that, I think they'll be back to where they were in the 80s and the 90s. I keep thinking, like, when I see the team, outside of all the injuries, it reminds me a lot of the 80s Flyers. There are a lot of really good players that are on there. They can score goals, and, they're a lot of fun to watch. But it's a matter of really obviously getting healed up, but then also, and then surgically removing all the negativity that's been surrounding them.
Yeah.
But you've got pieces, you've got individual pieces that can work. And that, the goalie is the big part of that. What made the 80s so great was that you had a goalie. You had a goalie in Lindbergh, you had a goalie in Hextall.
Yeah.
And pieces were kind of falling into
place.
place.
We didn't.
Exactly.
But it's actually really funny. Like coming into this, asking a couple of those questions, I didn't think that there was going to be as much positivity as there was. So
Yeah.
winning here.
Well, you're kind of used to it.
This is going to sound crazy.
More excited about the Flyer season than I thought was going to happen.
Go ahead,
This
Steve.
is gonna sound crazy, but when they announced that Sean Couturier was having back surgery, I was like, "Oh, thank God!"
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason for him to. There's a reason that that wasn't playing well.
Yeah.
There's not only that, but there had been sort of this radio silence. It's like, "Oh, he's got an upper body injury." They wouldn't tell you what it was, and they would say, "Oh, he's got some bad days." And I'm thinking this whole time he's got a head injury. He's got a concussion.
Concussion.
This is going to drag on, and we're going to have a problem. And then they said, "Oh, he's going to have back surgery." I'm like, "Oh, not that a back injury is
it's bad.
a great thing to have," but I'm like, that's something you can know. You can know and manage, whereas concussions, like, you have no clue.
No clue.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it especially with from what I know of back surgeries in the last couple of years from watching wrestling and being a really big football fan, where guys can actually come back from back injuries way better than before.
Yeah.
That's a positive, because if he gets the right back surgery and he rehabs the right way, he might be the player that we know he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some. Yeah.
And that's a huge addition in itself.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's the best. I think he's probably the best young, talented player they've got right now. We'll have to see how
young, but he's almost 30.
Yeah. But he's so fun.
Youngish, quote unquote.
Yeah. When he's on his game, he's just fun to watch.
He's fun to watch.
He's absolutely just fun to watch.
Yeah, he'll be the next captain, I think. Once Giroux either leaves or
that would be a great decision.
I think that he'd be a great captain. Guys, to finish out episode 74, topic 4 here, let's talk about the state of the Philadelphia Eagles to round it out. 9-8, of course, last year. They made the playoffs as the 7th seed in the NFC, which all three hosts predicted to be correct. Unfortunately, they got destroyed by the Buccaneers in the playoffs.
Did we predict that they would make the playoffs, or did we just predict the record?
We were kind of on the border.
I don't think we predicted the playoffs. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs.
They were right there. They were kind of like, okay, is this a playoff team? And I think we were all like, maybe, possibly, if it falls right, they could be.
It was maybe possible because it was the first year they were doing.
They were doing the 7 teams. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Nine wins in a regular year is always a crapshoot.
It's always a crapshoot. Exactly. So, gents, we're heading in. Obviously, they're doing the combine. I think they did the combine this week, if I'm not mistaken. And then you got the draft coming up. And the Eagles have 3 first-round picks, all in the late teens. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Carson Wentz, for one of those picks. By the way, he might be out of Indianapolis. They may trade him before the draft.
Oh, he looks like he's going to the Steelers. From the last thing I was
that just blows my freaking mind at that point. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Carson, but we're here to talk about the Eagles. 3 first-round picks.
I have questions.
John has questions.
I don't have answers.
I have questions. So I saw a couple rumors, and they have to do with the draft choices.
Okay.
One of them is, do you take the back 2 picks?
Okay.
So you have, I think it's 13. It's 2 after each other. And then I think it's 13, 14, 16.
I thought it was 15, 16, 19.
It might be that. Yeah. I think maybe it's 15, 16, 19.
Steve is spot on. It's 15, 16, and 19.
So you're taking 16 and 19. And you're trading to the Jets for 10. So you get 10 and 15. Yeah. You get 10 and 15.
Okay. Why would you trade to the Jets?
Because it was just a rumored trade, because the tier kind of drops at 10.
Okay, so they're trying to trade up to get into that last.
Exactly. Like the tier kind of drops a little. Like you would, with the 3 picks, you would get 3 good players, but you could get a great good player if you made that trade.
If you did.
It's just a rumor. How do you feel about trading, if you would get a great good instead of 3 good, how do you feel about that?
So I'll go with that. I would rather go 3 good than a great and a good. And the reason I say that is because there's potential to make those 3 goods into a great down the road. Because I think the coaching staff is pretty good, I would say, overall. I think, Sirianni rallied the team very, very well during the course of the regular season, got them in really good positions, got them into the playoffs. You need bodies. This team right now it's weird. It's very old, and yet
very young.
But also very young. So I think you need to be as young as you possibly can. And I think this is why I'm praying that Howie doesn't make any deals, because he has to know the older players now, they're very long in the tooth, and you need to replace them. You have to replace them, especially on the defensive side. Mm-hmm. Do you have problems in the defensive line? Fletch is he's old now. And for a defensive tackle, it's not going to be long. You have BG getting hurt, obviously, with the Achilles. He's coming back next year. We don't know how much longer he's got, so you need to replace that on the defensive line. You have 0 linebackers. None. You need a linebacker in the draft. I don't care. Get a linebacker, please, for the love of God. And also, you also need secondary help, particularly in the safeties. Rodney McLeod's not coming back. Anthony Harris is not coming back. So you got 2 safeties gone. You need defensive help there. And I think there are good players in the first round in all 3 of those positions. I don't care if they go defensive line, linebacker, safety, or they flip them. However they want to flip them. I think these 3 first-round picks have to be on the defensive side of the ball. And then you kind of get you get that veteran receiver via free agency and all that kind of stuff to help out Devontae. And you say goodbye to Jalen. I'm sorry. You say goodbye to Jalen Reagor. It's over. He can't run. He can't catch. Other than that, he's okay as a wide receiver.
Only the 2 things you need to do as a wide receiver, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to give you a very lawyerly answer, which is it depends.
Nice.
I tend to agree with Matt. I think they need your chances of hitting on somebody great improve if you're taking 3 bodies in the first round instead of just 2. If you're telling me you're moving up to 10 to take the next great, I don't know, whatever, wide receiver or whatever. If it's a superstar at 10, okay, maybe I make the deal. But if you're just moving up to 10 in general, but I don't know who's going to be there to pick, I don't want to make that deal. I've got 3 assets to pick, supposedly 3 of the top 20 players. Okay? I don't want to give 3 of the top 20. I don't want to give that up without knowing what I'm getting in return. Okay, because again, it's a lottery. You got 3 chances. If you trade up the way you said, you only get 2.
Yep.
And unless you're going to tell me what's going to be under the little scratch off there,
exactly.
I don't know that I want to give that up.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel the exact same way as you guys. I don't give up the 3 for the 2, but it was just interesting that they're starting to, the way they broke it down. They're talking like a great player's coming here, but you get 3 good players. I stick with the 3 good players. We need bodies more than we need superstars. I think our team is good enough and our coaching staff is good enough to fill spots at this point. I don't think we're at a rebuild. I think we have, our offensive line is decent. We've got an aging center, but we got a guy that can flip over and play next year. Our offensive line looks good. Our running backs look decent. Our wide receivers need a tiny bit of work. You need a big guy.
You could do that in free agency.
You can do it in free agency.
This is supposed to be a great free agent wide receiver class.
Exactly.
And apparently Amari Cooper is going to hit free agency.
Exactly.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
If you can piece together a couple things and then you could use those 3 picks for defense and maybe do a very Ray Rhodes thing, defensive line, middle linebacker, safety with picks. Maybe those 3 that's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to address one of each level of the defense with the picks, and I'd rather do that than trade any. This is the one time I don't want to move up.
Yeah, this is okay. Here's the thing: Howie though loves to wheel and deal.
Yes, he does.
Done it before. He will probably end up doing it again.
I think he'll trade one of these.
John, this has me very nervous because it's like I want him to stay where he is, I want him to pick the players where he needs to. He knows what he should know what those needs are. We've outlined them here on Two Noobs just now.
Yes.
Therefore, you don't move. But it's Howie. You know he likes to wheel and deal, and that's the big issue here. It's like
the one problem with Howie though is he'll trade the 19 for 2 second rounds. The 1 second round will suck, and the other one will be freaking great. And then you're stuck. And this is what Howie does. You're stuck all the time. You're like, he's the best. He sucks. He's amazingly
frustrating.
He's consistently inconsistent.
Exactly.
With everything. But he gives us people.
Look, I'm not opposed to if you get to 15 and you got 3 guys you like, all still there.
Yeah.
If you want to move down 2 spots, you'll still get one of them, and you get another asset either next year or later in the draft.
Perfectly fine with that.
Absolutely.
Perfectly fine with that.
Making smart moves in understanding maybe I can pick up a 3rd round pick next year and I can move 1 spot and I already know that I'm getting Joe Schmo from Oklahoma.
Yep.
I don't want Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo sucks.
I'm just saying, like, when you know that the Arkansas guy's getting picked and the Utah guy's getting picked, and you know that you're getting that guy, whether you get him here or here, you know you're getting here just from league banter. They all talk.
No, sure.
So if you make those moves, I'm fine. But don't move because the draft is good enough that you could fill needs.
Yeah.
That's my thought. Okay. Second thing, which we did this in pre-production. I already know it. My answer is actually more stringent than both of yours.
Go for it.
So Russell Wilson keeps popping up.
No.
That's where I thought you were going with question number 1.
Yeah, there's another one. There's another one with it. It's similar to this.
Okay.
Russell Wilson pops up that you could trade for him, and you could get a ESPN elite quarterback. I'm not saying he's elite. ESPN elite. You could trade 1 or 2 and some assets, maybe Jalen Hurts, maybe Jalen Reagor, which nobody would have a problem with, or somebody on the team that maybe is not a big piece, but you could get Russ, and Russ could come play for Philly, and it could happen. It's out there. Would you do it?
No.
I certainly would not. I had heard all 3 first-round picks. I would not.
I would not do that.
I would not do 2 first-round picks.
I would not do that either.
If you say 1 first-round pick, I'll think about it.
30, maybe
1 first-round pick for a proven NFL Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Aren't you giving up on Jalen a little too easily, though?
Is Jalen ever going to be as good as Russell Wilson?
That's the question. Yeah,
I don't know. See that as his ceiling.
I don't know. Yeah.
I feel this way about Jalen Hurts.
Is he a 30 touchdown passing quarterback?
Give him 2 wide receivers and Dallas Goedert and an offensive line, possibly.
Okay.
But is it him or is it, that doesn't matter. Is it him or is it the weapons you give him? That same thing with Russ. Like, is at this stage of his career, if we're talking 21-year-old Russ, give the world up for him.
That's stupid because he wouldn't be available for trade.
Exactly. But now, I don't even give up a 1st-round pick for him.
Jalen Hurts, I'm just looking it up here, and the regular season stats was a 3,144-yard passing quarterback, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
With a wide receiver crew.
NFL rating of 87.2. I don't do the ESPN QBR rating, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I don't do anything at ESPN.
But 3,000-yard passer, 16 and 9. The 16 touchdowns went the following way. Devontae had 5.
Yes.
Dallas
I have a
with
question
4.
for you off that 16, though.
Dallas with 4. Zach Ertz with 2. Greg Ward with 3. Krez Watkins only had 1 touchdown. Jalen Reagor had 2. Kenneth Gainwell with 1.
Wow, seems like Gainwell scored like 100 touchdowns. That was at
well,
one
most
touchdown.
of them were on the
Tyree
ground.
Jackson also had 1. And Lane Johnson.
I literally remember that one touchdown 100 times.
Yeah.
My question though, just with the 16 touchdowns thrown, how many did he rush for?
He rushed for 10.
Okay, so there's 28.
Top leading rusher on the team.
26. Do your math.
26,
John.
I'm sorry.
26 and 9. Yeah.
That's why I'm here for the math.
So 26 and 9 is a lot nicer
I would want to see
going
him
into a season.
second year though. I would want that 16 touchdown passing. I would want that up to 22, 23.
That would have to go to 20. That would have to go to 20 if you're going 10 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, if you
20.
keep the same rushing touchdowns, that's 33 TD.
I'm totally. That makes me happy.
I'd be happy with that.
Look, I'm less concerned about the touchdown numbers than I am with making A, the right throws at the right time, and B, putting them where they need to be and not where a guy has to come back and get it, or where you're overthrowing wide open guys.
Yeah.
Now,
and that's been my concern. I mean, he's improved on it, but I don't know that his ceiling is going to be as good as Russell Wilson is now.
I don't.
let me share those stats then, because I just looked it up here. Russell Wilson, 3,113 yards passing, 25 TDs, 6 picks.
How many rushing?
He had 2 rushing touchdowns.
And he was injured this year.
And he was hurt. So that's 27 TDs total. Probably playing, I don't know how many games he probably played. I think he was out for 4, 5, 6 weeks. So he probably played like 9, 10 games. Does that change your thought process?
Not mine.
He is older. He is older.
I definitely know that his offensive line is not as good.
Oh, his offensive line has been absolute trash his entire career.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, the one pick hurts another player and a first round pick, I would have no problem with.
I think that's
you just contradicted yourself.
I don't know that now that we ran the stats. No, I feel that DeVonta Smith would have a year that I don't project him having next year.
I think he probably puts if you have Russell Wilson on this team, right?
With that offensive line, that tight end, and a signing of a veteran wide receiver, I feel really good about that team.
Interesting. Yeah.
I didn't know the stats.
Okay.
I
just pulled them up right now. So yeah.
Going in, I was not interested in it, but I agree with you, Steve. With if it's only one first round pick, I'm okay with it. You're not multiple. Like I'm absolutely off the board. Not 2, not 3.
Yeah.
I'll even give you a second and a third.
You have 3 first round picks. Okay. If you make a selection with all 3 of them, they're all lottery tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you trade 1 for Russell Wilson, you got 2 lottery tickets and 1 with a proven Super Bowl winning quarterback who's still got a lot of tread left on the tires.
Yeah.
Okay, that to me is better than
that. Yeah.
He would probably put you like at least a couple of years. You're probably looking at maybe 2, 3 years.
Is he plus 2 wins to this team, just adding to this team?
I would think so.
So then why wouldn't you make that deal if it's just one, not 2 first round picks, but just 1 first round pick?
Issue though is that issue with that is Seattle would probably want 2 first rounds, and I think that's the borderline. That's where it's kind of like,
No,
but again, I go back to the needs on the defensive line. I go back to the defensive side of the football.
I agree.
That's why I wouldn't do more than 1.
Exactly.
You still have 2 first round picks to make those fixes.
Which I would go defensive line, linebacker,
and
or
let's go into
linebacker
the last
secondary.
one. Let's go into the laughable one. I wanted to do this just so we could end on a happy note.
Let's do it.
So
wait, before you do that, because I've heard another rumor coming out of Seattle that DK Metcalf is on the trading block.
Really?
I might want Decaf before. DK is great.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't understand why he would be available.
He might make Jalen Hurts better.
Let's face it. I mean, I think they're trying to blow everything up in Seattle, so why not? You know, if he's available, let's sign him. I don't care.
So get rid of what's he, a third year now? A third year great young wide receiver?
So if that's a trade, if you could, those 2 for 2 first round picks, Jalen Hurts and somebody else, do you do it? I do it in a heartbeat because I
All right,
know
so-
I'm getting.
Don't
I'm
pull up
getting
his
the
stats.
wide receiver makes the difference.
So
Just FYI,
John's
9
now willing to trade 2 first-round picks if it
Yep.
nets us DK and Russell Wilson, which
Yes.
I don't see why in the hell Seattle would ever make that
They
deal.
wouldn't.
FYI, Metcalf.
But I would
Metcalf-
do it in a heartbeat.
Metcalf scored had 967 receiving yards, 12 TDs.
Yeah.
So
I'll take that.
okay.
How great would he make Smith?
Oh my God. People would forget about JJ and Arcega
You wouldn't
Whiteside
need
and
other wide
Rager, like,
receivers.
who? What? Where?
They would just put guys that look like wide receivers in those.
Almost looks like
positions.
To coming in again.
And Metcalf's a big dude,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's like 6'4". Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. You got your big receiver and you got your speed guy.
Yeah, he would be unbelievable.
I would. That's the only reason I would give up.
And then
an
John is your slot guy.
Yeah, Steve, you got to play slot with me too. We work
No.
well.
Metcalf 6'4", 235, by the way. So yeah, he would be enormous.
Big kid. He's a big kid. No,
Yeah, be
but
a big
they're not.
What's the happy before we get out of here, Johnny? What's your happy?
No, it's a joke. So Adam Schefter reports late Friday night
yeah.
that the Eagles are actively watching Deshaun Watson's criminal case and holding out hope that he gets cleared. This is an Adam Schefter report. That's what I just want to make everybody laugh at the end. Hey, Jesus, Adam Schefter, why would you even put that out there on the internet?
Seriously, like, oh my gosh, the radioactivity of that guy. Good
Yeah.
grief.
Frankly, I think everybody's watching Deshaun Watson's criminal.
It's extensive.
It's extensive,
Civil.
and if somehow he were to make it out of it unscathed,
Why would you?
more than just the Eagles would be in the run for his services.
Yeah, that's like plutonium 235. You don't even go near that. Uranium 235.
It's-
You don't even go near that. You know.
It was
If
funny.
he gets
'cause
cleared,
if he's cleared, he's a really good player.
Yeah,
yeah, he is.
yeah. I think from a fantasy standpoint, yeah, but I don't know. It's been over a year, and I would
All
much rather, if I had to make the choice, I think I'd much rather have a Russell Wilson quarterback in my team than a Deshaun Watson.
I think I would agree with that.
You know, that kind of a deal.
I would totally agree with that. I just thought it was fun.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I loved
make
it.
you guys laugh. Like
Oh, staying away from uranium. Say Aaron Rodgers hits the open market, then
Yeah.
Denver. I got him going to Denver.
You got him going to Denver?
He goes Denver. Carson goes Pittsburgh.
Or, you know what? I could probably see Aaron at San Francisco. You know? Who knows? That'd be interesting.
Where does
Give up on
where
Trey
does
Lance? Why
Jimmy
not?
G- where does Jimmy G go? Denver, because they like
New England.
They like. Oh, Jimmy G goes back to New England.
He goes back to New England on the
That's-
bench behind Mac Jones. Yeah.
I don't understand why they stayed with him.
I don't know either.
I really don't get it.
I mean, he was the reason why they lost the NFC Championship game at that point. It's just
I mean, what was the
So
when they
bad.
made the Super Bowl? What did he have? Like 6 passing attempts in the championship games?
something like that. Yeah.
It was
Like
something.
so you really don't trust your quarterback to win you that game?
That was. I remember.
in a passing league, really? Yeah.
I remember tuning in to that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't watch much like everybody else. I don't watch much in the Eagles, but I'll tune in every once in a while and I'll throw it on when I'm doing something else.
Yep.
And I just remember like looking up at the San Francisco game and I'm just like, I just don't got time for this. And I like immediately axed it out. And I was still at the computer doing work,
Yeah.
but I was like, I just don't have
I don't have time for
listen to this. Like, I was a non-believer of that team the whole time.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, that wraps it up, guys. Episode 74 is in the can.
And we're not going to mention the irony that this was a state of the Philadelphia
It is-
Union, and we didn't mention the Union at
Yes,
all.
it was the State of the
Exactly.
Union of Philadelphia Sports and didn't mention the
And
Union.
didn't mention the soccer team.
I
What's
don't know
wrong with us?
anything about them, and I would never want to.
Hey, they're good.
act like I did.
They were actually pretty good. I
They,
think
they
for what
made
it-
the title last season, right?
They
made the
did,
title
yeah.
game.
They
they
seem
started
like
the
they're
game again.
really
Started
good. I
season
just
again,
I
yeah.
don't understand the game enough to even talk about it. So
I was at one Union game before, and it's
Was it
interesting.
fun?
I would say so. Yeah, I mean the Sons of Ben are great when they're like in their section and they're banging on the drums all the time. It's great. I mean,
It
it's
seems like a nice atmosphere. It's
raucous
just-
atmosphere.
it's a-
You just have to
it's a
watch out
shame-
for the guns and the bullets and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I was going to say it's a shame that the stadium's in Chester. That's
Yeah, exactly. That's a great
Lower
place.
Chester County.
Yeah.
Lower.
That's a great place for it, by the way.
Yeah, right on the riverfront.
Great idea. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Couldn't have put it down with the rest of them.
Maybe.
Got some space.
I do like the idea, but I think the idea was they build the stadium and then the neighborhoods improve. But that has not happened.
That has not happened. Exactly.
That's not how that works.
That's not how that works. Exactly. Oh my gosh. So, guys, but we're going to be, next week is going to be, I guess you could call it the Diamond episode, the 75th episode of Two Noobs Talking, John. How about that? I don't think we would have ever thought to hit 75 episodes. Good
No,
grief.
I have not. We're living on
Borrowed
hard work
time?
from everybody. I can't even believe it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, this thing was about a week long.
Razor Ramon there up in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to throw it to him. Razor, where can people find us, bud?
Hey, yo. People can find us on, so that would be Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Clapper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We're there.
Okay. All right. Twitter occasionally.
Yeah.
Twitter occasionally. We're supposed to be posting short form videos, but I haven't seen any recently. So
We got to get back to doing that with our IT department.
You jabronis. What did Razor used to call? I forget what he used to call people.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Well, I'll stick with jabronis. You jabronis need to get on that. But when we do, we put short form videos.
The Rock was the jabroni guy.
Yes, The Rock was the jabroni guy.
That's right.
But jabronis just sticks out of my head because the Iron Sheik tweets it all the time.
All the time.
Apparently, he really hates Hulk Hogan.
Oh, he really does. Who
But when we do,
Who wouldn't though?
Well, but we do put out short videos. They're intended to lead us to
our main YouTube channel, the Two Noobs Talking Podcast. We love it, of course, if you like, share, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell to get notified when our episodes drop. I'll get it out.
Or don't,
Did it
because that's
bang?
annoying.
Or don't. It's up to you.
That's annoying.
On the audio side, though, John, where can people find us there?
I haven't turned my notification off for Whataburger, so every time I drive past it tells me to buy a cheeseburger.
Bing.
I hate it. Audio side, speaking of that, we are on Apple. We're Googleable. We're on Google Podcast. We're on Spotify, but I don't know how I feel about them now. I haven't thought about it. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on this thing called Lav.
Wow.
I get emails all the time about this other thing that we're on, but we have no idea what it is. But we are hosted by Podbean, and they put it out to all kinds of bullshit that you hear us on. So just Google us, and you'll find us.
Amazon Music. Did you say
Amazon Music? Yeah, we're on that too.
Oh, I forgot about that. That just he found out we were on Amazon Music. I don't even know what fucking Amazon Music is.
We got a tank.
We're on it.
We have a live tank.
We got a guest.
There you go.
We're on it. Look at that.
Look at that.
This episode.
So
Two Noobs and a Kitty Cat.
Hey, our show notes can be found not on the cat, but I'll throw on there. Show notes can be found twonoobstalking.wordpress.com. That's where you can find all of our articles that we mentioned whenever we do have a chance to mention our articles. But since this was a state of the Philadelphia's league team.
They did a union without the union.
A union without the union. There you go. So my thanks to Steve, my thanks to John for a great episode. Looking forward to next week, of course. And until then, guys, talk to you all next week. Take care.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed. That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore.